I'm going to tell you a story about the night I got engaged. So on December 30th, we were hanging out at his house and watching movies and stuff, and then it was getting late, so I decided I needed to go home. And so I got up, and he just gave me a really short hug, and I was kind of mad about it. And so we got in this fight, and it was a really stupid fight, but we did. And it escalated to the point where, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but I was mad at him because he hadn't proposed to me yet. And I was like, what are you going to propose? I want to get married. And he's like, you have to stop asking me. He's like, I'm sorry, I just don't have the money right now. I can't afford it. And I was like, okay, I'm really sorry. And he said, well, you're going to ruin the surprise if you keep on asking. You know, like, I just don't have the money right now, and I'm sorry, but it could be a year from now, it could be tomorrow. You just have to stop asking. He's like, okay, I'm really sorry. And so he gives me a hug and a kiss, and I go home. And then the next day, so December 31st, we had some plans for New Year's. We were just going to hang out and go on a date and stuff. And so I went to his house, and we hung out sort of all day. And then I went home at about 5 or 6 o'clock so that I could get ready, and went back to his house and waited for him to finish getting ready. And we got into my car. I don't know why, I just like driving my car. So we got into my car and we went out to dinner, and we went to Scissors for dinner. And on the way there, my car was fine. There was no problems with it. But after that, we wanted to go back to his house to play some poker because it was still pretty early in the night, and we didn't want to, we didn't have anything else to do, so we just went back to his house to play poker. And on the way to his house, he was just like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to hang out with my family? Do you want to go hang out with our friends? Do you just want to be by ourselves? And I was like, we can just be by ourselves, that's fine with me. And he said, okay, well, how about we go find a big spot with a view, and we can watch the fireworks, we can listen to the countdown on the radio. And I said, okay, yeah, that's great, that sounds perfect. And I honestly had no problem with it. And so we're driving to his parents' house, and my car starts acting funny. The ABS light came on, and I didn't know why, and I was confused about what it was, so I pulled out the manual, and I read it, and it said that you should pull over, turn your car off, and turn it back, wait a few minutes, and then turn it back on. And if the light goes out, then it's fine. It might just be like a shortage, but if it's still on, then you need to get it repaired as soon as you can. And so we got to his house, we turned off the car, waited a few minutes, we turned it back on, and the light was gone, so we thought it was fine. And so anyway, we go into his house, and they were kind of watching movies and snacking, and they had to teach me how to play poker because I had no idea, and I was awful at it. But so we were playing poker, and then it was about 11:15. It was getting closer to midnight, and so he said, well, we should probably go. I know this spot that's got a nice view. We can just go up there, and it's not too far away, but we can head out now. And I said, okay, that sounds good. And so we get our coats on, and we get in my car again, and we start driving. And the ABS light hadn't come back on, but as we were about halfway there, it came back on. And so I was a little nervous about what it meant. And so, anyway, the spot that he wanted, or that he was taking us to, you have to go down a big hill, and then you have to go back up the hill, and it was at the top of that hill that he was going to stop, and it's got a really pretty view of the city, and you can see fireworks from all around you, and it was just really pretty. And so we start going down that hill, and my car stops. It completely shut down. The power steering stopped, the lights had gone out and started flashing, and so he pulled over to the side of the road as best as he could, and turned the car off, and we turned it, and it wouldn't start. It wouldn't go back on. I mean, the engine wouldn't even turn over. It was horrible. And it was freezing cold. The heater wouldn't come on, nothing worked. And so I was like, all right, well, why don't you just call your mom, and we can just hang out there for a while. You know, they've got snacks and stuff. And so he's like, okay. And so he gets out of the car, which I didn't find unusual because he doesn't like people listening to him while he talks on the phone. So I didn't find that unusual at all. So he gets out of the car and he calls his mom. And I didn't know this at the time, but he apparently had told her, because I didn't know he was planning to propose, he apparently had told her to wait 10 minutes. And so when he gets back in the car, I was like, okay, when is she going to be here? Because the heater had gone out, and so we were freezing, and I just had this really, really thin blanket in the back seat that I had pulled on. And he said, she should be here soon. We'll just just come over here, we can cuddle and try to keep warm. And so we were cuddling, and I was thinking, what the heck is taking so long? It is so cold. It was a blizzard. And so he's like, well, it's okay, just talk to me. Let's just try to keep your mind off of it. So he starts asking me things like, oh, well, what did you like about this last year? What was your favorite part about this last year? And he said, I started saying, well, me and you getting together was a big thing for me because I love you a lot. And finishing school, that's always, you know, I love school, and so I'm glad that I finally got through another semester and just things like that. And he said, okay, cool, well, what's your New Year's resolution? What do you want to happen by next year? And I said, just as a joke, I was like, well, I want to be engaged, just as a complete joke. And he's like, okay, well, what else? And so I was like, you know, just I want good grades in school. I want to be nicer to people, start serving people, things like that. And so he's like, okay, well, cool. Well, so we were just chatting back and forth and trying to keep warm, and I was still wondering why it was taking so long. And what happened was, it was 11:59. I looked on my phone and it said 11:59, and I said, okay, well, let's just do a fake countdown since she's not here yet. And so I start counting down, and I was like, 10, 9, 8, 7, and he gets out of the car. And I was like, what the heck are you doing? I'm still counting down. And I was like trying to yell at him because he's out of the car. And he comes all the way around the back of the car into my door. And he opens up the door and he says, I love you. And he gives me a kiss. And I said, I love you too. Please get back in the car. It's freezing. And he's like, you know how much I love you, right? And I said, yes. And he said, I want to spend my whole life with you. And he kneels down. The snow was up to the car level. It was deep snow, like 2-3 feet of snow. And he kneels down in that. And he pulls out the ring and he says, will you marry me? And I said, are you kidding me? I was so frustrated. I was like completely shocked because he had told me that he didn't have time for it. He didn't have the money for it. He completely lied to me the night before. And so I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like, was that a yes? And I said, yes, of course. And I give him a kiss, and I was like, hurry, get back in the car. And so he gets in the car and shuts the door, and I was so happy. It was the best moment ever. Even though everything went wrong. We didn't get the view, we didn't get to listen to the radio, we had to fake it, and it was freezing cold. It was still perfect for me. And so a few minutes later, his parents had pulled up behind us, and so it was really perfect. We got in the car with them, and then the next day my car came and got towed, and it was just amazing. It was perfect, even though everything went wrong. So that's it, the end.